What if the key to the Baltimore Ravens' future lies hidden beneath the rubble of a past many prefer to forget? The enigma hanging over the castle at Owings Mills isn't just about who will be the next leader, but about the courage to see beyond a record of wins and losses. Imagine walking through the corridors of M&T Bank Stadium, where the smell of freshly cut grass mingles with the electricity of a decision that could change everything. The franchise owner, Steve Bisciotti, and architect Eric DeCosta are conducting a selection process bordering on industrial espionage. It's so strategic. They are interviewing a huge number of candidates, holding their cards close to their chests as the clock ticks. Jeff Zrebiec, who follows every heartbeat of this organisation, has already warned us that the process should extend for another 2 or 3 weeks, and each passing day increases the tension over what the final verdict will be. The big question is, are we ready to accept a commander who has been ground down by the relentless gears of the league, but who still possesses the tactical firepower that we lack? At this crucial moment in our journey to the top, your participation is what keeps our community vibrant and informed. Therefore, I ask that you subscribe to the channel now, leave your like and comment below. Do you prefer a coach with prior experience, even with a losing record, or a completely new face to lead the Baltimore Ravens? Your opinion is fundamental to the journalistic debate we build here every day. Fan engagement is what strengthens our discussion about the Ravens' strategy and the future of this dynasty. So don't forget to activate notifications so you don't miss any details of this hiring cycle. The discussion takes on dramatic proportions when we look back, specifically to what happened 18 years ago. Today, the mentality in the Baltimore Ravens has radically changed. There is a deep and almost obsessive interest in coaches who were the hottest names on the market 5 or 7 years ago. Professionals who shone as offensive or defensive coordinators and were elevated to the position of head coach, but who ended up in impossible situations. They inherited uncompetitive teams, unstructured organizations, and most seriously, teams without an elite quarterback. These men grinded in the gravel for years, fighting against the current in a cycle where the average coaching career lasts only 4 years. Steve Bisciotti is prepared to take the brunt of criticism from the media. And fans, if the final candidate is a former coach with a losing record, he believes that failure should be judged by circumstances and not just by the cold number on the table. In Baltimore, we don't have a difficult job. We created the best draft pick opening in the entire NFL coaching cycle, and that completely changes the math of the draft. One name that emerges strongly in this animal spirit scenario is Robert Saleh. He perfectly embodies the type of coach many see as the perfect match for the purple and black DNA. Saleh's impact on the sideline, living and dying on every snap with an almost mystical energy, electrifies any tactical analysis. He's a defensive master, someone who shone with the San Francisco 49ers and, by all accounts, didn't get a fair chance with the Jets. When we think of the Ravens contenders, Saleh stands out as someone the fans would love to see leading warriors like Roquan Smith. He's the kind of leader who, even having failed in his first experience as head coach, maintains the immediate respect of his peers and players. Another name orbiting this same planet of intensity is Brian Flores. He's always been a favourite for many observers, although speculation frequently places him on the radar of rivals like Pittsburgh. However, the Baltimore Ravens seem to be operating on a different frequency, assessing whether the maturity gained from past failure is more valuable than the inexperience of a young mind. The question that remains is whether Eric DeCosta will opt for a more technical and safe approach. Jesse Minter appears as a piece that makes perfect sense on the board, given his historical connection and the style that fits perfectly with what Baltimore has built. But there's always that suspicion about what's said publicly. When the front office is so obvious about not being afraid to hire someone who failed the first time, the most attentive analysts begin to wonder if this is just a smokescreen. DeCosta is known for professing love for a draft position, only to completely ignore it when the clock starts ticking. He plays the shadow game. There's a real possibility that, while everyone is looking at hardened veterans, the Baltimore Ravens are secretly preparing the ground for someone like Kubiak or a young coordinator, leaving us all in shock when the announcement is finally made at M&T Bank Stadium. The only certainty is that the franchise's legacy of stability is at stake, and each interview is a step towards a new chapter that doesn't allow for trivial mistakes. The silence in the corridors of the castle at Owings Mills is merely the calm before the most significant storm in the recent history of the Baltimore Ravens. While the world watches John Harbaugh pack his bags for New Jersey and Todd Monken follow him to the New York Giants, the reality in Baltimore becomes crystal clear. We have the best draft spot in the entire league, and Eric DeCosta knows it. Don't be fooled by the delay. What we are witnessing is a master of the game treating this cycle like a 3-week draft. Steve Bisciotti has already made it clear that instinct was the determining factor in the change, and now that same instinct guides the search for a leader who not only understands X's and O's, but who brings back the responsibility and fear that purple and black used to inspire. Harbaugh's departure after 18 years was not just a dismissal, it was the end of an era of 180 wins, and the beginning of something that must be, without exception, more explosive and decisive. The search for this new quarterback involves names that evoke an almost visceral intensity. Robert Saleh emerges not only as an option, but as an animal spirit for a defence that possesses elite players like Roquan Smith, but which lacked that electric spark on the sidelines during high-pressure moments. The journalistic analysis here is accurate. Saleh may have faced chaos with the New York Jets, but his defensive mind remains one of the most respected in the NFL. Similarly, Brian Flores enters the conversation as a strategist who transformed limited defences into tactical nightmares. Although there are rumours that Flores may end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the opportunity to lead a roster headed by Lamar Jackson is an asset that no other team can offer. Baltimore is the ultimate destination for those who want to win now, and the front office will not disqualify these men for negative records in situations where they were left to fight alone without a top-level quarterback. However, the name that continues to gain traction behind the scenes and ignite betting odds is Jesse Minter. The connection to the Harbaugh clan is undeniable, having worked with both John in Baltimore and Jim in Michigan, and with the Los Angeles Chargers. Minter represents the tactical continuity of a system the Ravens know like the back of their hand, but with the energy of a new generation. He is the favourite in the projections, but with Eric DeCosta, you should never accept the obvious as absolute truth. The Ravens head coach of the future may be being interviewed via Zoom right now, away from the spotlight, while names like Clint Kubiak and Davis Webb bring the promise of a young offensive mind to further elevate Lamar Jackson's potential. The balance between the experience of those who have already taken a beating in the league and the innovation of those who are rising now is the great dilemma that Bisciotti and DeCosta need to solve. The Ravens' strategy for the next 10 years is being written with a pen that allows no hesitation. M&T Bank Stadium demands a leader who honours the legacy of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, but who is ready for the challenges of the modern era. It's not just about hiring a name, it's about building an entire coaching staff, from offensive coordinator to line of scrimmage coach. Jeff Zrebiec continues to monitor every move, and the general feeling is that Baltimore is in a position of absolute strength. Ravens candidates of all profiles are knocking on the door, attracted by the chance to work in an organisation that prioritises culture above all else. The 4-year cycle that consumes most coaches in the NFL doesn't scare the Ravens' leadership. They seek the next 2 decades of stability. While we await the white smoke to emerge from the chimneys at Owings Mills, a word of caution. Don't underestimate Eric DeCosta's ability to do the opposite of what he publicly signals. If he says he likes veterans, he might be eyeing a prodigy rookie. If he focuses on defence, the next defensive genius might be on the way. Purple Reign Forever isn't just a slogan. It's a commitment to excellence that won't allow the Baltimore Ravens to become an ordinary team. The next step will be definitive. The post-Harbaugh era has begun, and the throne is vacant for whoever has the courage to take the best roster in the NFL and transform it into an unshakable dynasty. The time for excuses is over. Now it's time for execution.